Welcome to my quick breakdown on how to use my budget template with Dashboard. First of all, thank you for purchasing it. And if you are on the fence, then hopefully by the end of this, you'll be convinced. So on the homepage, you've got a tab called Dashboard, and this gives you kind of an oversight of your finances. We'll come back to it in a second because basically some of the other tabs will feed into this, and I'll show you exactly how that works. First of all, if you head to the 2025 tab, you'll see a budget template. Now this 2025 tab is just a copy of the budget template here at the bottom. You'll notice no difference when I click between the two. So before I move any further, if you want further years after you've basically 2025 is coming to an end, when you want 2026, you literally just right click here, duplicate, and then call that 2026. And then you can just drag it over here or do whatever you want, and then you can have your information. You can populate it, either copy it from 2025 or you can start from scratch. Now, sometimes I take a copy of, say, the current year and then adjust my figures or basically whatever's in December and copy it across because I try to keep mine very static, but however that works for you. Now, how this budget template works is fairly straightforward, but I'll go through it quickly. So this date column here, B, is really just a reference for you. It doesn't actually do anything in terms of calculations. But if you get paid on the 25th, you just pop that in there and say your partner gets paid on the 28th. It's just a bit of a reference for you. And then what I do is put the dates in basically when my mortgage comes out on the 1st. And then I tend to have these in the correct order so that I know that I can track them throughout the month. So let's say you bring home 1750, partner brings home 1250. That would give you total income of £3,000. And if you wanted to copy this across, fairly straightforward. I'm not going to teach you how to use Excel, but you just copy it across. So then you put in your numbers here, and you can start to see the totals adding up here. So I'll just put a couple in. So let's say that also comes out on the 1st. That's 300. And water on the 1st as well. So 50 quid. You can just see it's adding up there. And what it's also doing is telling you the percentage of this category of income, i.e. fixed expenses, of your total income. So currently we're at 45% of our total income is spent on fixed expenses. Now, these are just targets set by me. They're not of any sort of relevance, just some research I did. Again, they have no bearing on the calculations. And then for savings, you just add your own kind of sinking funds. Let's say you put in £50 a month for gifts, £200 a month for holidays, £50 for car maintenance, and £100 in the emergency fund. You can see that will total up there. And I try to keep things static, so I just copy mine across like that. Dates, like I said, personal preference. Investments I've just kept separately because these are like sinking funds, really. So you get to a certain amount and then you're happy with it, or you're spending from it and stuff, and it's just to keep money aside. Whereas this is for more longer term savings. So you could have a stocks and shares ISA, a lifetime ISA, a general investment account, or even a cash ISA, just some long term stuff that you wouldn't want to touch. Again, you can just plug in numbers there. It's fairly straightforward. Okay. And then I have a section for guilt-free spending because that's just how me and my wife operate. And so these are sorts of things you can put in, but obviously you can put anything else in if you want. If you're adding new rows, I would try to avoid adding them here on the subtotal row. Try and add them further up just to make sure that the formulas don't get messed up too much. And then it just tells you total spending, unallocated income, which is currently £1,000 because we've done £2,000 worth of expenses, and then unallocated is at 33%. Now, when I budget, I go to zero. So if I have any money left over, let's say you put it in investing or savings, you could do the same. You'll notice if we go over here now, so the income has started to populate. So that has taken the salary 1 and 2 figures that I just put into the 2025 tab and put them in there just so you can see a bit of a snapshot of total income for the year. And the same way, it has done the same for your expenses by category. Let's hop back to the net worth tracker to see how that starts to populate this chart down here. So you could backdate this or you could just start this in January 2025. It's entirely up to you. But let's just say you had 5,000 in your pension then. 5,250, and you just need to go in each month and basically add that in. So let's say you've got £1,000 worth of investments as well in your lifetime ISA and your stocks and shares ISA. But let's say we don't add anything, or we didn't add anything for the entire year, so that's stayed fairly static, but this has gone up. Let's see if we can get that to continue. Yep. Okay, so now if I go back to the dashboard, you'll see the numbers have pulled through, and you can hover over and see what has happened. So you can see there, if we've only got back to 2024, but if you keep putting this in, and you can keep this going, you can just add 2028 on the bottom. You may need to play around with the chart data, but essentially it will just keep going, and it will show you your net worth over time. And now this net worth here is actually taken from this table here. Now, because we didn't add in any 2025 data, that's currently shown as 0. We can continue this to go 8,000, say 8,500, 9,000, just so we've got some data in the table. And then we'll say 1,000 here. This is not realistic, obviously. I'm just putting in data to show you how it works. And you can see here, all of those numbers have pulled through from that net worth tracker, and the net worth of 14,500 has been pulled because the month, or the last complete month based on today's date, was October, sorry. So 14,500 is shown here, and that is why. Now, what it also will do is remove any debt total. So if nothing else basically is automatic on this page. So I will show you, these are savings accounts just to show where your money is. So say you've got a NatWest regular saver, and you might have Monzo, but you also might have a Trading 212 ISA. It's just, you put a last updated date in here, how much you've got saved, how much interest you've had, if you're interested in tracking that, and then that will just give you a total. So these are completely manual, just to track your savings accounts. Now this, let's say, could be a Lloyd's credit card, credit limit of say 5,000, and let's say you've got a balance of 500, and that has taken 500 off of our net worth. So this total down here is taken off of the most recent net worth here. So if you've got a mortgage and you wanted to include that in your net worth, so you'd probably have a negative net worth, then you could do that. But that's entirely up to you. Savings wise, this here just adds these up. So if I were to put £100 in here, you can see your total savings are there, but this will not be added to your net worth because your savings would be tracked in column F here for savings. All right. Current salary is just a manual figure, so you can just add that in. That is just really just to fill out the dashboard with some extra information, but doesn't do anything in particular for you. And then I had birthdays down as a useful mechanism to budget for birthdays, but also remind myself on who's coming next. So if I just do person 1 and then give it a date of say 28th November, you can see the next birthday available is person 1. If I add person 2 in and give their birthday after today but before theirs, you'll notice it will actually update and tell you the person 2's birthday is next. And that is just all based on a formula up here, but essentially looks at today's date and see what is coming next. And then I just add in, say, I put £50 for that person's birthday, 45 for that, just to show what I spent. And if you add in every person's birthday that you would tend to buy gifts or cards for, then you can quickly see at the start of each year how much you should roughly have or be aiming to have in your sinking funds for gifts. Now, I've covered your net worth, that is plugged in or taken from your net worth tracker. I've covered your income, that is taken from the budget template. So 2025. Now, when it gets to 2026 and for every year after, it should automatically, when you go to the 1st of January, that should go to 2026. Okay, I can't prove that because it is still 2025 when I'm recording this, but that should automatically go to 2026. So should this one and this one, because they are just looking at this one. So when that happens, a lot of the numbers are going to go to 0 because this could be empty, or you may not have created it yet. So if you have any errors, it's potentially because this is moved over on 2020 on the 1st of January 2026. It may trip over, okay? So just be aware. It would be worth creating your 2026 in advance so that you know, especially for the first column, and then adding in your net worth and just copying it from December to January just to keep things ticking over. Otherwise, you may notice some errors on the 1st of January. Other than that, I think I've covered it all off. The expenses are taken from the budget template as well. The savings are completely manual and within your own control. So these are just your savings sinking funds. You can control these. They do not factor in anywhere else. Total savings is taken from here. Your net worth is a combination of the last completed month and taking away any debts. Okay, the current salary is just manual, just to keep on top of, and the next birthday is driven by this table down here, and this chart is driven from the net worth tracker. I hope that helps. Do let me know if you've got any comments. Otherwise, thanks again for your purchase and good luck.